Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready?
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Well, nice sunny day here in Maine. No clouds, tiny wind, but sky's blue and it's really beautiful out. Good break there to the cloudiness that we've been getting here the last few days. So I got a video that's about 19 minutes long, and there's a lot in there that I think everybody should see. And when it's done, we'll go to a commercial break, and then I'll catch you on the other side. So let's go to the video, and I'll see you on the other side.
Donald Trump's morning is off to an absolutely terrible start. He's been hit with a barrage of brutal polling. He was humiliated last night on 60 Minutes after he pulled out of his interview. Vice President Harris did a fantastic job. We'll get to that in a little bit. And Republican governors and other state officials are speaking out and rebuking Donald Trump for his lies regarding the federal government's recovery efforts. I'm going to get into all that and more. My name is Brett Meiselas here with the Midas Touch Network. Remember to hit subscribe. We are on our way to 3.5 million subscribers. Okay, let's check in with this new Wasson Center poll of Virginia likely voters. In this poll, they have Vice President Harris leading Donald Trump 52% to 41%. That is a margin of plus 11 for Vice President Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, Democratic Senate incumbent candidate Tim Kaine leads the Trump-backed hung cow 55% to 35%. That is a 20-point swing for Tim Kaine right there. And if these results bear out, it will be the largest margin of victory for Democrats in modern history. These are stunning results out of Virginia, absolutely terrible polls for Republicans. Let's move over to Michigan. When Detroit News has a new poll out now that shows Vice President Kamala Harris up 47% to Trump's 44%. So you know the trend line, Trump was up 45% to 44% back in August. Once again, we are seeing this momentum shift towards Vice President Kamala Harris. And we're seeing that on the issues as well. In the questions of who is better suited to handle the economy, Vice President Harris leads 47% to Trump's 45%, according to the new research company poll. And we are seeing this across a variety of issues in the Redfield and Wilton poll. We are seeing this on abortion, on the economy, on inflation, and in healthcare, to name a few. And then we look at the national polls, only the A and B rated ones in the past seven days. We see Kamala Harris up 3 in Data for Progress, up 2 in the NPR PBS News Marist poll, up 1.6 in Emerson, up 5 in SPNR, up 4 in Ipsos, and up 3 in The Economist and YouGov, with a 4-week flat average of Kamala Harris being up 3.3. But we also have some hard data, not just polling, right? We have Pennsylvania mail and absentee ballots coming in, people actually voting. We can't tell what their votes are, but we can tell what their voter registration is. And so far, we have 73.3% of the return mail and absentee ballots from Democrats, just 19% from Republicans, 7.7% from others. That is showing a massive gap right there between ballots returned by Democrats and Republicans. We're starting to see a blue firewall build in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, CNN is reporting that Kamala Harris looks like she is on track to put up the best numbers ever for a Democratic presidential nominee among voters with a college degree. Let's see what they had to say.
White college grads have been this group
that have been moving further and further to the left. All right, this is the Democratic margin among white college grads. Look, Hillary Clinton won him by 5 points. Then Joe Biden won him by 9. Look at this margin that Kamala Harris is pulling up in the polls right now among white college grads. It's an 18-point margin, double the margin that Joe Biden had just 4 years ago. I went back through the record books. This would be the largest win for a Democratic presidential candidate among white college grads in recorded history. That is all the way back since the early 1950s. You could probably go back even further. But the bottom line is that Kamala Harris amongst this group is doing ridiculously well. And it's one of the main reasons that she has been able to counter Donald Trump's rising support among voters without a college degree. It's because she's doing very well among white voters with a college degree.
What about all voters, not just white voters?
All right. So we looked at white voters with a college degree. How about all voters with a college degree? It's basically the same story. It's historically high support for a Democratic candidate. You see right now, Kamala Harris leads in the polls by 21 points. That's 3 points higher than Joe Biden did 4 years ago. At 6 points higher than Hillary Clinton did 8 years ago. The bottom line is this, Mr. Berman. The electorate is becoming more polarized along education, and Democrats, at least among those with a college degree, are the beneficiaries of it. And Kamala Harris is doing historically well for a Democrat among voters with a college degree.
Better than ever among voters with a college degree. How many voters do have a college degree?
Right. So this is the second part, the key nugget here, an increasing share of the electorate. You know, you go back 44 years ago, just 21% of the electorate had a college degree. You go back 24 years ago, 31%. You go back 4 years ago, you're up to 40%. This year, it looks like a historically high proportion of the electorate, 41% will have a college degree. You know who those voters are. They're in the suburbs of places like Philadelphia, of Detroit. You go, obviously, to Madison, Wisconsin, right? A rising tide, more and more voters with a college degree. It's what flipped the great state of, part of what flipped the great state of Georgia, right? Those voters with a college degree in the suburbs of Atlanta. This is a big reason Kamala Harris is still in the race right now, because even though she is losing a little bit of support among voters without a college degree, she's gaining rapidly among those with a college degree, specifically white voters with a college degree. Either way you look at it, historically high support at this particular moment.
Put it in one sentence, more voters than ever with a college degree. She's doing better than ever with voters with a college degree.
That's exactly right, Mr. Berman. That is the great thing we're going to be watching down the stretch of this campaign. Does Donald Trump, the support that he's pulling among working class, counteract the support that Kamala Harris is gaining among those with a college degree? That's the battle going down the stretch. At this point, we're not sure which side's going to come out on top.
Major structural shifts.
You got it,
with
my
an
friend.
F in there, just to be clear. Marianne, thank you.
So with all this news, what is Donald Trump doing? He is resorting to his same old lying and fear-mongering. He's got one script and he is sticking to it. This is what he's writing on his social media platform. He writes, in all caps, the response to the hurricane by lying Kamala Harris is now rated the worst storm response in history. North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and others will respond by voting for Trump. We will make America great again. Notice how he's so transparent that he's making this stuff up for votes by bringing voting into this instead of just being concerned for the people on the ground. Donald Trump is obviously lying here, and even the Republican officials are speaking out and they are praising the federal government's response to Hurricane Helene. Here's a montage that MSNBC put together. This is mostly Republican top officials praising the recovery efforts. Let's check this out.
As of today, what has been the ongoing kind of federal assistance for South Carolina?
It's been superb. We're getting assistance, and we're asking for everything we need.
They're doing a great job. There can always work harder. There's always kinks in the slinky. We're working them out behind the scenes.
And you see this rush of local officials, FEMA, from the federal to the state to the local emergency management agencies, local county mayors with tears in their eyes out there serving their people.
We're grateful for the quick actions and close communications that we have had with the president and with the FEMA team.
We have been, Sean, I have to say, working well with FEMA. They, in fact, were moving very quickly over the last few days for us.
So to President Biden, thank you for coming. Thank you for paying attention to our needs. I think we've had good working relationship between the federal.
Now let's look at this tale of two headlines. Let's look at the PBS headline from October 2nd, 2024. Vice President Kamala Harris announces 100% reimbursement of local Helene response costs during remarks in Augusta, Georgia. This is from NBC News on April 23rd, 2021. New probe confirms Trump officials blocked Puerto Rico from receiving aid. Donald Trump blocked a lot of places from receiving aid who didn't vote for him. If their votes did not matter to him, then he would refuse to help. This even happened in North Carolina, of course, the site of the current storm. But let's look back to Hurricane Matthew in 2017, when Donald Trump blocked 99% of the relief funding requested by the state. Absolutely despicable. And let's remember that Project 2025 seeks to eliminate a lot of this aid for families and small businesses recovering from severe storms like Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. Absolutely inexcusable stuff, folks. Former governor of Ohio, Governor Kasich, a Republican, was taking the airwaves, and he himself thinks it's maddening that Donald Trump is using this hurricane for political purposes and lying about it when people need help. Listen to what Governor Kasich has to say.
It's just so it's beyond disappointing. It's maddening to see that a person running for president would try to use something like this, where there's been such tremendous hardship, loss of life, to try to create a fable here. I mean, look, anytime you have something like this, the officials in charge are always going to say they wish things had been delivered faster. That's always going to happen. But to say somehow that money that was designed to go to hurricane relief has been spent on immigrants, I mean, it's just dead wrong. But he continues to say it. And, you know, there's this thing now, as you know, Andrea, about spinning conspiracy theories. And, you know, people on the internet like to think, oh, well, the government, you know, just doesn't care. They're doing their own thing. And this kind of gins up some of his base. But by and large, I think the problem he's going to have as we get to the election day is that there's going to be a chunk of Republicans who will not vote for him under any set of circumstance. And I think that number's probably 15% in that category. She will not have that problem. I mean, she'll be over 90 in terms of the Democrats that turn out and vote. But every time he does this, he puts himself farther and farther behind. And frankly, the ramification should be that. As you know, I've been opposed to him for 6 years since he came on the scene, and it's just it's terrible.
The former chair of the Florida Republican Party is also speaking out as a result of Donald Trump's lies about the storm. And he says that he is enthusiastically voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Watch this.
Actually voting for the Harris-Walz and maybe doing it with some enthusiasm is a fairly recent development. I'll give you two recent examples, both of which I'm very familiar with. One is the natural disasters. You know, that's always been a bipartisan issue. Both Democrats and Republicans have worked together to assist the people in harm's way. Well, you know, the White House asked Congress to pass a supplemental bill to really help people with these disasters because we may be running out of cash. All of a sudden, the trolling, the Trump operatives and everybody else started saying, well, they're giving that money to illegal immigrants. Not true. There are various parts of FEMA that are funded separately, and natural disasters is one of them. Well, you know, when Andrew hit Florida, which has been one of many, I worked hand in hand with the George H.W. Bush administration and the Democrat Governor Lon Childs. It was always a bipartisan spirit. Everybody wanted to help those in harm's way. Well, you take it now, you know, the Trump operatives are already lying about FEMA not having resources, about FEMA not going over. When the White House asked the Congress to meet for a supplemental bill, to pass a supplemental bill for FEMA, they said, call us after November 5th. That's something that just not have a precedent. The second one was with immigration. You know, it was so hard to get a bipartisan bill put together in order to stop the intrusions at the border. But oh no, Trump had to tell the Republicans not to pass it because it was not in his best interest.
Coming off Hurricane Helene, we are now dealing with with Hurricane Milton in the state of Florida. If you're in a disaster zone, I am urging you to evacuate, listen to local orders, and do what they tell you to do. Do not buy into lies and disinformation. Listen to the officials. President Biden approved an emergency declaration from the state of Florida and ordered federal assistance to supplement response efforts that may arise due to the emergency conditions resulting from the hurricane. Meanwhile, this is what Donald Trump had to say about Category 5 storms like Hurricane Milton back in 2019. He said he's never even heard of a Category 5 hurricane. Watch this.
I'm not sure that I've ever even heard of a Category 5. I knew it existed, and I've seen some Category 4s. You don't even see them that much, but a Category 5 is something that I don't know that I've ever even heard the term, other than I know it's there.
It should be noted that there were at least 4 Category 5 hurricanes that had taken place prior to Donald Trump making that statement during his presidency. Meanwhile, MAGA is ramping up their conspiracy theories. It's getting even weirder than you even knew it could get. Their new conspiracy theory, lie, whatever you want to call it, is that these hurricanes, which are happening during peak hurricane season, are being created by President Biden, Vice President Harris, and the deep state to prevent Trump voters from voting. I know it sounds crazy. This is literally what they're pushing. You could see this guy, Grant Cardone, speaking about his conspiracy theories here, and you've probably already seen Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about her conspiracy theories, that they control the weather, kind of an anti-Semitic dog whistle that she's putting out there as well. Just bizarre, deranged stuff. It's so sad that so many people's brains have been so broken by social media, by Donald Trump. It's just really tragic to see. I mean, no one's brain is more broken perhaps than Donald Trump, who just continued to post incessantly. He started posting these photos of Elon Musk, who appeared at his rally in Butler. This is the picture he posted of Elon Musk. I got a better picture I'm going to show you. This is a more accurate representation of Elon. This is a photo while Elon Musk was jumping up and down at Donald Trump's rally. It was a very weird, just very bizarre stuff, everybody. Elon Musk is joining with Donald Trump in fear-mongering. Elon Musk writing, "It would be the end of America if Vice President Kamala Harris wins." Donald Trump is reposting that. Just despicable rhetoric, honestly. Just absolutely gross. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has decided to hold a rally in Coachella, California, a state he has no chance of winning. He's holding this event October 12th, 2024. And what Fred Wellman, who hosts On Democracy here at the Midas Touch Network, said is, so 24 days before election, Donald Trump is holding a rally in Coachella, California, in the middle of a desert, in a state he's going to lose, in a congressional district that's like D+20, on the only 4th Saturday left, where it was 109 degrees today. Don't underestimate the tactical genius, Alasavita and Wiles. Of course, he's being sarcastic there about Donald Trump's campaign managers. Donald Trump was on Fox yesterday with Laura Ingraham, and I don't know if pigs are flying or what, but even Laura Ingraham was correcting the record when Donald Trump was spewing his lies. Trump was trying to spread this lie that the only thing that FEMA is offering people in the disaster zones is $750. That is not true at all. Watch Ingraham correct Trump.
And yet they're offering people $750
for immediate needs.
For the worst, but for the worst hurricane that anybody's seen. But she shouldn't be there anyway. She should be, I would say North Carolina is bad, is so bad. And
she was there today for 3 hours, I believe, Kamala Harris.
Ingraham tried to sort of guide Donald Trump through this next question, saying, a lot of people think that you're going to go after people if you win the election. They think you're going to weaponize the government. You're not going to do that, right? Watch what Donald Trump had to say about that.
How will you restore faith in our justice system? A lot of people will say, well, he's just going to do to them what they did to him and get back at them. And
a lot of people say that's what should happen. Well, you want to know the truth.
Right. Well, but I think
Donald Trump appeared at an event yesterday, 1 year after the horrific attack by Hamas in Israel. He could be seen here holding a photo of a hostage who was kidnapped and smiling, just extremely inappropriate. He's gotten a lot of backlash for this. He's also gotten a lot of backlash for asking the rabbi at this memorial service if he wants him to autograph the prayer. Not making this up. Watch this.
Yeah, can I take that? Would you like me to sign this?
I love it. Thank you.
Now let's talk about that 60 Minutes interview. As we've reported here on the Midas Touch Network, Donald Trump decided sometime like last week that he was going to back out of this interview. He was afraid that he would be fact-checked. We reported that here, and 60 Minutes confirmed that fact with this absolutely brutal opening to the show where they explained why Donald Trump would not be participating. Watch this.
Then, a week ago, Trump backed out. The campaign offered shifting explanations. First, it complained that we would fact-check the interview. We fact-check every story. Later, Trump said he needed an apology for his interview in 2020. Trump claims correspondent Leslie Stahl said in that interview that Hunter Biden's controversial laptop came from Russia. She never said that. Trump has said his opponent doesn't do interviews because she can't handle them. He had previously declined another debate with Harris, so tonight may have been the largest audience for the candidates between now and Election Day.
During her 60 Minutes interview, Vice President Kamala Harris gave her thoughts on Donald Trump backing out of the interview. Take a watch.
If he is not going to give your viewers the ability to have a meaningful, thoughtful conversation, question and answer with you, then watch his rallies. You're going to hear conversations that are about himself and all of his personal grievances. And what you will not hear is anything about you, the listener. You will not hear about how he's going to try to bring the country together, find common ground. And Bill, that is why I believe in my soul and heart the American people are ready to turn the page.
I loved Vice President Kamala Harris's answer to this question.
You have accused Donald Trump of using racist tropes.
I'm glad you are pointing these comments out that he has made that have resulted in a response by most reasonable people to say it's just wrong. It's just wrong. I believe that the people of America want a leader who's not trying to divide us and demean. I believe that the American people recognize that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down. It's based on who you lift up.
Governor Tim Walz was also on 60 Minutes, and he was asked about calling Republicans weird. I thought this was a perfect response.
Before you joined the ticket, you called Republicans weird. And that's sort of become a rallying cry for Democrats. Why do you think that label stuck?
I was really talking about the behaviors. Being obsessed with people's personal lives in their bedrooms and their reproductive rights, making up stories about folks legally here eating cats and dogs. They're dehumanizing. They go beyond weird because I said this, it becomes almost dangerous. Let's debate policy in a real way and let's try and find an objective truth again.
Just for a contrast, J.D. Vance was in Georgia on the local news there, and he was asked if he supports Georgia's 6-week abortion ban. If you've been following the news, you know that Georgia's Supreme Court has re-implemented the abortion ban while appeals take place. Vance was asked about this, and he had yet another non-answer. Check this out.
Big issue here in Georgia and around the country is reproductive rights. Sure. Here in Georgia, commonly known as the heartbeat bill, it bans most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. It's under litigation right now. Recently, a Fulton County Superior Court judge struck down the law as unconstitutional. Do you support Georgia's heartbeat bill?
Well, look, I don't know the full details of Georgia's heartbeat bill or the litigation that's happened over it.
And then in one of the most powerful moments of this 60 Minutes interview with Vice President Kamala Harris was when they brought Liz Cheney on. And Liz Cheney spoke about why she is voting for Vice President Harris. This is a message that is going to reach so many voters, especially those in the middle, those who are kind of center-right, so to speak. I thought this was exceptionally powerful and is going to sway a lot of minds. Check this out.
4 years ago, if someone had told you that you would be campaigning with Liz Cheney, what would you have said to them?
That'd be great. That's really diplomatic.
Would you ever have thought that you'd be campaigning with Kamala Harris?
I hope that if you had said to me 4 years ago, our Constitution is going to be under threat and it's going to be crucial for the parties to come together and to support Vice President Harris because she'll defend the rule of law, I know I would have said that's exactly what I'll do.
I think you could see with all these clips and all these updates that Donald Trump seems like he's sort of spiraling out. I mean, the desperation is palpable in these tweets where he's making up all these lies. Meanwhile, Vice President Harris is staying focused. She's doing what you're supposed to be doing, and she's doing it at the right times. She's doing a lot of interviews now. She's meeting people face to face. The momentum is on her side, and we are seeing that reflected in these new polls as we approach Election Day. Hey, thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate you.
All right. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
And my stupid people, when I wanted to refute it, they said, "Sir, don't dignify it with a rebuttal."
Have you been noticing peculiar behavior recently in someone you know?
Carried out by
Someone who mixes fiction and reality?
the late great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Perhaps someone of advanced age you have known for years.
Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? It's unbelievable, Venezuela.
Of course, we all have our goofs. But consistently odd behavior can be a sign of frontotemporal dementia, a degenerative disease of the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain that dramatically impairs cognitive function. And there are some key signs to look out for, like slurring words,
The failing New York Times by anonymous.
struggling to find the correct words is another sign.
The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges of the investigation.
You may also notice someone veering into incoherent ideas, detached from reality.
You know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
Or an inability to complete simple sentences.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Other notable symptoms include impaired motor function, such as a wavering limb, and decreased balance, often accompanied by a signature lean or arched stance. If someone you know is demonstrating several or all of these symptoms, they are seriously unwell. As a matter of safety, they must be relieved of critical responsibilities and disqualified from any position of authority. Remember, frontotemporal dementia is a degenerative disease. Cognitive function will never return and will only deteriorate further. Don't ignore the signs.
America's national security, a president's first job, to protect our nation from all enemies, foreign and domestic. In a dangerous world, Kamala Harris has sworn to do just that. Her commitment is clear.
I will never waver in defense of America's security and ideals, because in the enduring struggle between democracy and tyranny, I know where I stand and I know where the United States belongs. I will ensure America always has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world.
And to uphold America's solemn promise to honor our veterans.
And I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families, and I will always honor and never disparage their service and their sacrifice.
Kamala Harris for president, for a stronger, safer America.
Driver's license, registration.
Here you go, sir. How's your day going?
That's your daughter?
Sure is.
Abigail, right?
How do you know her?
Were you about 8 weeks pregnant? So you've been spotting recently. You've had any cramps or nausea?
That's personal.
You been taking your prenatal vitamins?
Excuse me?
Are you ticketing me for something?
Where are you heading, Abigail?
To go see my older sister, Natalie.
Well, that's strange. 'Cause it says here that Natalie's at a concert in Dallas. And your navigation is set to a women's health clinic in one of those abortion states.
We have the right to travel.
Not anymore. Step out of the car.
Please, officer.
Both of you out now. You, sir, are under arrest for crossing state lines to obtain an abortion for a minor under your care. And you, young lady, well, you're under arrest for evading motherhood.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
All right, everybody, welcome back. A lot of stuff there in that video, I agree. And still there's more yet that I want to talk about here that wasn't in that video. First thing off the top is this article here from CBS News, and some of you probably already know about this, but written by Gina Vicky. St. Clair Shores mayor outraged after Michigan Attorney General charges 7 people in double voting incident. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel charged 7 individuals from St. Clair Shores in an alleged double voting incident, but the city's mayor is calling on the state to drop those charges. Quote, "There was no intent here. There was no intent for voter fraud, not at all," unquote, said St. Clair Shores Mayor Kip Walby. Walby said he is outraged that Nessel brought charges against 4 voters and 3 temporary election workers after alleged instances of double voting were discovered. Quote, "If the Attorney General really thinks that this is voter fraud, she should come down and interview them. And if she does, she will understand this is not voter fraud. These people did not intend to defraud the system, so she should come and interview these people," unquote, Walby said. Nessel announced the charges last week at a news conference. St. Clair Shores resident Frank Prezzato, 68, Stacy Kramer, 56, Douglas Kempis Jr., 44, and Geneva O'Day, 62, each face 1 count of voting absentee and voting in person, a 5-year felony, and 1 count of offering to vote more than once, a 4-year felony. The 4 were charged with 1 count of voting absentee and in person, a 5-year felony, and 1 count of voting more than once, a 4-year felony. Assistant St. Clair Shores clerks Patricia Guiciardo, 73, and Emily McClintock, 42, were charged with 1 count of falsifying election returns or records, a 5-year felony, 1 count of voting absentee and in person, and 1 count of offering to vote more than once. Meanwhile, Assistant Clerk Molly Brazier, 31, is charged with 2 counts of falsifying election returns or records and 2 counts of voting absentee and in person, and 1 count of offering to vote more than once. Quote, "We don't want people to try to vote twice, and we certainly don't want clerks that, in any way, shape, or form, who are aiding and abetting in that process," unquote, Nessel said. Walby said the St. Clair Shores Police Department and the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office investigating the instances of double voting after they were self-reported. However, no charges were brought. Walby is now calling on Nessel to investigate this case further and insists there was no criminal intent. Quote, "It's a mistake made, that's what occurred," unquote, Walby said. Does that sound to you like a mistake was made? No, not if you got the county clerk involved in it. Okay, she knew that these people had already voted absentee ballot, but she let them vote again. You know, these people. And these people, you know, what do they got? Bad memories or something like that? They can't remember when they went and voted the last time? You know, this is ridiculous. And the fact that the mayor is sitting there bitching about it, you know, suggests that, you know, he's walking dangerously close to being aiding and abetting criminals here. So, you know, I feel like this has to be done. They have to go after these 7 people here, because especially now, where we're so close to the presidential election, people have got to see that we will go after individuals who try to cheat the system. Okay, and you know, these people were probably testing the waters to see just how far they could get away with it. You know, who knows? But I certainly would remind the mayor here of his duty in this sort of thing, and make sure he stands on the right side of history on this, instead of trying to, oh, it was an accident. It don't sound like an accident to me when you got 4 people who voted twice, and the others trying to help cover that up, you know, when they fucking knew better. These were not just volunteer clerks. These were people who were trained to do this job, who understand the laws inherent with that job. Okay, so you know, what have I got to say? You know, that, you know, this November's election is going to be a doozy. Okay, there's shit that's going to happen, and that thing is going to knock your socks off. Okay, we'll be lucky to know who the fuck won that November election, you know, because the Republicans have got the water so tainted that, you know, they'll be able to argue up and down till hell freezes over that the election was rigged and that Trump's the winner. Okay, so, you know, that really is that's sad. Okay, and then this other story here from the AP, written by Michelle Price and Meg Kinnard, titled "Woodward Book Reveals Trump's Calls with Putin and Biden's Private Remarks on Obama and Netanyahu." Donald Trump has had as many as 7 private phone calls with Vladimir Putin since leaving office, and secretly sent the Russian president COVID-19 test machines during the height of the pandemic, Bob Woodward reporting in his new book, War. The revelations were made in the famed Watergate reporter's latest book, which also details President Biden's frustrations with Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, as assortment of burner phones. The Associated Press obtained an early copy of the book, which is due out next week. Stephen Chung, Trump's communications director, denied the accounts in the book. Quote, "None of these made-up stories by Bob Woodward are true and are the work of a truly demented and deranged man who suffers from a debilitating case of Trump derangement syndrome," unquote. Okay, Chung. Trump had previously spoken to Woodward for the journalist's 2021 book called Rage. Trump later sued over it, claiming Woodward never had permission to publicly release recordings of their interviews for the book. The publisher and Woodward denied his allegations. Woodward report that Trump asked an aide to leave his office at his Florida resort, Mar-a-Lago, so that the former president could have a private call with Putin in early 2024. The aide, whom Woodward doesn't name, said there have been multiple calls between Trump and Putin since Trump left, perhaps as many as 7, according to the book, though it does not detail what they discussed. Trump's senior advisor and longtime aide Jason Miller told Woodward that he had not heard Trump was having calls with Putin and said, quote, "I'd push back on that," unquote. But Miller also said, according to the book, quote, "I'm sure they'd know how to get in touch with each other," unquote. Trump's relationship with Putin has been scrutinized since the 2016 campaign for president, when he memorably called on Russia to find and make public missing emails deleted by Hillary Clinton, his Democrat opponent. Quote, "Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing," unquote, he said. U.S. intelligence agencies later determined that Russia had meddled in the 2016 election to help Trump, though an investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller found no conspiracy between the Trump team and Russia. In 2018, Trump publicly questioned that finding following an in-person meeting with Putin in Helsinki. In recent years, Trump has criticized U.S. support for Ukraine as it fights off Russia's invasion. He has said Ukraine should have made concessions to Putin before Russia invaded in 2022. He also previously touted his good relationship with Putin and called the Russian leader, quote-unquote, pretty smart for invading Ukraine. Woodward reports that Trump sent Putin COVID-19 test machines for his personal use as the virus spread in 2020. Putin told Trump not to tell anyone because people would be mad at Trump over it. But Trump said he didn't care if anyone knew, according to the book. Trump ended up agreeing not to tell anyone. The book doesn't specify when the machines were sent, but describes it as being when the virus spread was rapidly going through Russia. It was previously reported by the AP and other agencies that Trump's administration in May 2020 sent ventilators and other equipment to several countries, including Russia. Vice President Kamala Harris, in an interview Tuesday with radio host Howard Stern, accused Trump of giving the machines to a murderous dictator at a time when, quote, everyone was scrambling to get tests, unquote. Quote, "This person who wants to be president again, who secretly is helping out an adversary while the American people are dying by the hundreds every day," unquote, said Harris, the Democrat president candidate. The book also details Biden's complicated relation with Netanyahu, as well as private moments with when the president has been fed up with him over the Israel-Hamas war. Biden's, quote, frustrations and distrust, unquote, of Netanyahu erupted this past spring. Woodward writes, the president privately unleashed a profanity-laden tirade calling him a son of a bitch and a bad fucking guy, according to the book. Biden said he felt, in Woodward's accounting, that Netanyahu, quote, had been lying to him regularly, unquote, with Netanyahu, quote, continuing to say he was going to kill every last member of Hamas, unquote. Woodward wrote, quote, Biden had told him that was impossible, threatening both privately and publicly to withhold offensive U.S. weapons shipments, unquote. Biden and Netanyahu have long been acquainted, although their relationship has not been known to be close or very friendly. Last week, Biden said he didn't know whether the Israel leader was holding up a Mideast peace deal in order to influence the outcome of the 2024 presidential election. Asked about the book's reporting, White House spokesperson Emil Simons told reporters Tuesday that, quote, the commitment that we have to the state of Israel is ironclad, unquote. Simons, when pressed on the details, said she wouldn't comment on every anecdote that may come out in reporting. She added of Biden and Netanyahu, quote, they have a long-term relationship. They have a very honest and direct relationship, and I don't have a comment on those specific anecdotes, unquote. The book details Biden's criticism late last year of President Obama's handling of Putin's earlier invasion of Ukraine when Russia seized Crimea and a section of the Donbass in 2014, at a time when the president was serving as the Democrats' vice president. Quote, they fucked up in 2014, unquote. Woodward wrote that Biden said to a close friend in December, blaming the lack of action for Putin's actions in Ukraine. Quote, Barack never took Putin seriously, unquote. Biden was angry while speaking to the friend and said they never, quote, never should have let Putin just walk in there, unquote, in 2014, and that the U.S., quote, did nothing, unquote. Biden regrets choosing Garland as Attorney General. Was furious with Merrick Garland for appointing a special counsel to investigate Biden's son Hunter in attacks and gun prosecution. Quote, should never have picked Garland, unquote, Biden told an associate. According to Woodward, the journalist did not name the associate. Hunter Biden was convicted in June on federal gun charges and faces sentencing in federal court in Delaware in December. He pleaded guilty to federal tax charges in California and is also set to be sentenced in that case in December. Okay, and then there's more here, but it's pretty lengthy. Anyway, yes, so yeah, the main point here is that Trump had been communicating with Putin all this time, and he still is. Okay. You know, is anybody going to say that there's something wrong with that? I mean, other than myself, okay. Treason is the first thing that comes to mind, especially from a guy who stole secrets from the National Archives and hid them in his bathroom in Mar-a-Lago. Okay? If he's got this close relationship with Putin, is it logical to think that he might have given some of that shit to Putin? Okay? We know how fucking criminal-minded he is. I would put money on it that Trump had handed over some of that stuff to Putin in some fashion or other. Okay? And being that, you know, Trump has, you know, this book that Woodward had written here, I mean, and of course, he's got sources for that. He ain't just making this shit up like Trump does. He's got sources, and when you read his fucking book, you'll see where the sources are, who they are, and where they're coming from. Okay? It's in the book. So MAGA can chew and spit out all kinds of fucking ridiculous conspiracies all they want. But the proof, if they want to look it up themselves, will be right in the fucking pages of that book. Okay? And not like that's really going to matter to them. I mean, like, they support this guy even after he's raped women, after he's accused of raping a 13-year-old girl when he was younger, you know, and stole secrets, lied about his taxes, okay? Scammed people out of millions in a stupid Trump University thing that he had. You're going, okay, this is a guy who's got, you know, a rap sheet a mile long of things that he's done wrong, okay? And people seem to think, or the MAGAs at least, seem to think that none of that matters, okay? And it's only because they need him. He's the key to get into the White House, okay? He gets into the White House, and suddenly Trump's not going to matter anymore to MAGA. What's going to matter is the people under Trump that are going to be in there pulling Trump's ear to do this, do that, do this, do that. Just like what they did with Ronald Reagan when he was president, okay? Bush and, you know, the people under Reagan were the ones really running the country, because Reagan was falling apart mentally while he was in there, okay? He had Alzheimer's, and he was, you know, the longer it went on, his presidency, the less and less he was really attuned to the realities of what was going on in the world. So in the end, he wasn't running the country. And Trump is falling right down into that same pit. So that means if you think you're voting for Trump, you're not. You're voting for whoever the hell Trump is going to be going into the White House with, his staff, okay? They're the ones that you're going to see running this country. Trump will just be sitting there doing what he does, which is lie like a fucking idiot, okay? He just isn't gonna care. All right, he's already out there now screaming at FEMA and Biden, saying, oh, they're leaving millions of people unprotected, they're not doing a damn thing, okay? And that's all a fucking lie. All right, you got people in Florida on the ground, for Christ's sake, commending FEMA for responding as best as they can to these disasters down there, okay? So it flies right in the face of Trump's own story, okay? And that shouldn't surprise anyone by now, okay? Really. I mean, everyone right now, at this point in time, ought to understand that anytime Trump opens his mouth, he's lying. He can't tell the truth to save his own neck. He can't tell the truth to save his own campaign. If this man had any brains at all, he would be down in Florida right now helping, doing something to help those people himself too. He would be down there to show, yes, I do care about the people in Florida. I'm going to do what I can with what money I have. I'm going to try to help these people out. That's what he'd be doing. Christ, he's got a home there. But no, what's he out? He's doing speeches, telling more lies, throwing mud at Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, okay, while they're busy trying to protect people in these storm-torn communities, okay? You know, he's saying shit that's so blatantly false that you got people in his own party that are trying to correct him in front of people, you know, because they know, look, every time you talk, you're bringing down heat, not just on yourself, but on anyone who supports you. Everybody's taking the heat, okay? And remember that video there that I played here, where that Tina Peters there, that she was sentenced to prison for 9 years, okay, for what she did. Well, guess what? After that was done, the judge has been getting death threats from idiot MAGA people, okay, which shouldn't be a surprise, okay? But it goes to show you what kind of people follow Trump. You know, they are of like mind, okay, and they don't care that what Trump does is wrong. They didn't care that Tina Peters, what she did was wrong, okay? And anybody that tries to shed some truth on the whole subject is going to be attacked. Now, they increased security around the judge, and whether or not these people actually intend to carry out their threats, nobody knows. But you never want to take for granted that it's just, you know, a bunch of hot air. I mean, look what they did with Nancy Pelosi. Where they had one goon went over there and beat the shit out of her husband with a hammer. Okay, you know, again, you know, it's another one of them freaks, you know, on the right wing. And we got a country, you know, 30% of our country there, I guess, is considered to be like this. And that's sad because, you know, at the same time, you know what else is being put in jeopardy? The concept of true and false. When you got that many people in the country who prefer the lie than to understand the truth, okay, what happens, you know, if we allow these kind of people, you know, keep infecting the rest of the country with what they do? Will that mean truth doesn't matter anymore in this country? You know, does it mean that, you know, whatever somebody says is true is true? I mean, are we going to just fall right into that Orwellian story, you know, 1984, you know, where, you know, people are, the truth is only what it is at the moment, you know, and then they can just take the truth and flush it down the memory hole, and then there's a new truth. I mean, that's what MAGA's living in right now. They've created their own 1984 inside their cult, where the truth is what they believe it to be. That's why you can't debate these people. You can't talk to them, because when you try to reason with them with facts, they don't want to hear it, okay? And then they'll just say, oh, well, you're just getting this from fake news. Everything that's contrary to what they believe is fake news. That's their excuse. That's fake news. This is fake news. You know, what they're really saying is, I don't want to hear the truth, okay? Stop it. I don't want to hear the truth. I don't want to hear it. That's what they're really telling people, and that's really a dangerous thing for this country to see evolve, and we really have to put our foot down on it in whatever way we can. We can't let these people proliferate, you know, in this country with the stupid way they think. Okay, it's what you're setting up here is a society that really doesn't want to do anything. I mean, because if you don't believe in facts, right? If you don't believe in facts, then how can you accomplish anything? How can you do anything with science? Because science deals heavily with facts. And if you're a person that wants to deny it, then, you know, how are you ever going to have things, you know, or you know, take care of yourself medically. You know, people will just, I mean, we're already getting to that point now where you got people that are, you know, vaccination, anti-vaccination people and stuff like that, who think that that's all bad. See, they're living in their own little world. Okay, again, they're creating their own facts to justify their actions. And so, you know, we really need to, as a society, really push back hard on that, because I think it's a dangerous precedent that we're going in, and it's exploded out of proportion ever since Donald Trump's fucking face ever showed up on the TV screen. Okay, he really, he's done a lot of damage in this country, and you know, the longer he is drawing breath, you know, the more damage he does to us as a whole. You can't, you wouldn't think that one man could do that kind of damage, but here's the proof. Here's the fucking proof. It only takes one man. And remember what I said way back about I could get on here and say any damn thing I want and I could get 100 people to believe it? That's how easy it is. That's how fucking easy it is. You know, and he knows this. He knows this. He's said a lot of fucking lies, and he gathered the right people. He said it at the right places, created a base for himself. It's become a cult. You know, I mean, he perpetrated, you know, a fantastic example of how people who are, what he says, poorly educated, are easily swayed by, you know, a snake oil salesman. Okay, and we've been told all our lives growing up to be careful of people like that, right? And yet here we have, you know, a good section of our country who all didn't pay attention to that lesson, and now look where they are. You know. All right, that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So subscribe, comment, and share, and keep your ears open for any health-related matters. And I will talk to you all again later. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.